Alrighty, so we are going over day 2 of your Frindle book. So I went right ahead to the section that you were responsible for reading on your own, which was chapter 4, page 17. I am using Google Read Write so that way I can highlight, track, and tag my answers. So there were two questions that were highly missed. The first one was, what is the meaning of the word connecting? So I'm going to go ahead to page 19 because that's exactly where they told me the word connecting was. So here on page 19, I am looking for the word connecting. So about halfway down, I am able to see that word connecting. So I'm going to go ahead and click it, and I'm going to tag this as number 4. Okay, so now I'm ready to highlight the same section. So I'm no longer using this. I'm clicking over to here, and I want to highlight that blue. But in order to know what that word means, I can't just read that word. I need to read the sentences around it. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those yellow because I need to figure out, well, what's actually happening in that sentence. So I'm going to start with where I've highlighted in yellow. He could hear a baseball game in John's yard down the street, yelling and shouting, and every few minutes the sharp crack of a bat connecting with a pitch. But he had a report to do for Mrs. Granger. So I'm going to go ahead and look back at my questions to see where exactly. Here, these are my option choices. So I'm going back and forth between these two pages in order to know what my best answer is. So I'm going to read that section again, keeping in mind my options are correcting, striking, linking, and grouping. He could hear a baseball game in John's yard down the street, yelling and shouting, and every few minutes the sharp crack of a bat connecting with a pitch. But he had a report to do for Mrs. Granger. So he is our character, Nick. He's listening and hearing a baseball game going on, but he knows he has a report to do. In this baseball game, there was a sharp crack of a bat connecting with a pitch. So I think about the things that happen in a baseball game. And one of the things that happens with a bat in a baseball game is the bat is supposed to hit the ball that has been thrown at them. That ball that has been thrown at the bat is called the pitch. So every few minutes, a sharp crack of the bat connecting with the pitch. So what do I think that bat is doing with the ball? It's hitting that ball. So I go back to my answer choices. A says correcting. There is no correction that's happening in this particular section. B says striking. Striking means that you hit an object with something. So I am hitting the ball with the bat. So that's a good and strong possibility. C is linking. Linking is connecting two things together. So a lot of us chose linking, but we aren't linking, connecting the ball and the bat together. The better of those two choices is striking, because striking means I am hitting one thing with something else. And then the last answer choice was grouping. And we aren't grouping and putting those two pieces together. The next and last question I want to talk about is the question where it says, why did Nick compare his reading assignment to the list of shampoo ingredients. So that very next question, why does Nick compare his reading assignments to reading the list of shampoo ingredients? So I'm going to go back in my text in order to find my work, take my highlighter off, and here on page 20, about halfway down, I see what Nick has compared. It was sort of like trying to read the ingredients on the shampoo bottle. So I'm going to highlight that blue because that is going right with my question. But just as anything else, I can't just read that sentence. I have to read around it. So I'm going to highlight these yellow. So I highlighted these, but I'm going to go ahead and start at the top of the page with my reading. Then he read the first sentence from the introduction. Remember, this is a dictionary he has. Without question, this modern American dictionary is one of the most surprisingly complex and profound documents ever to be created, for it embodies unparalleled etymological detail, reflecting not only superb lexicographic scholarship, but also dreams and speech and imaginative talents of millions of people over thousands of years. For every person who has ever spoken or written in English has had a hand in its making. What? Nick scratched his head and read it again. Well, why would he read it again and scratch his head? And then he read it again. But he's read it 3 times now and he says not much better. It was sort of like trying to read the ingredients of a shampoo bottle. He slammed the dictionary shut and walked downstairs. So I'm thinking about how he's feeling. He's scratching his head. He reads something. He reads it again and again. He eventually slams the dictionary shut and leaves. So he's feeling quite frustrated. He's scratching his head. He's trying to figure out what that one sentence said from the very first part of the dictionary. And he's confused. He doesn't understand what that one sentence means. So I'm going back and looking at my answer choices to see if I can find an answer choice that matches up with Nick being frustrated and confused and not understanding what that says. A, it says, it smells like his shampoo. No, that dictionary, that first sentence that he was reading isn't smelling like shampoo. B, it was using many chemical words. So chemicals are the ingredients in the shampoo. There were lots of words, but there were not chemical ingredient words for the shampoo. C, the print was very small. Well, we looked at the print. It looked like regular letters. Print is the letter size. And D, it was difficult to understand. He was having a difficult time understanding that text. That's why he read it 3 times. And he says, not much better. Then he slams the dictionary shut and walks downstairs. He's frustrated. He's trying to read it. He's trying to do his assignment, but he does not understand. All right, so we'll stop there. You are in charge of reading and following along the instructions for the next 2 chapters, and then we'll go over them then.